Morning. I am slowly these Instagram lives right now. Monday bothered me. You guys, that took way too long on Monday to get that going. And I have Jed joining again today, so that should be, this is going to be really fun. How's it going, Jed?
It's going good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. For those
Great.
who don't know, Jed is my brother, and he prefers to remain a little more anonymous in social media, like doesn't really want to show his face. I don't know if that'll change in the future, but for now, he does not care to show his face. But he is one of my favorite people to talk to, and we don't always talk about, surprise, surprise, the topic. But yeah. All right. So I guess let's jump to it, Jen. How are things going from the last time we spoke?
Things are still good. The little one is with me right now, so hopefully she is
Good.
calm for a bit.
Yeah.
Us to talk.
All right. Nice. Okay. But other than that, in the news, how are things going?
Oh, well, I haven't. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what else could happen right now. I haven't started my news cycle for today yet, so I think I'm gonna wait till after lunch. I think I want to kind of like enjoy the day a little bit because last week was pretty busy.
Yeah, and obviously over the weekend, something pretty big happened that America's just not buying, right? But can we talk about how, like, not shocked a lot of us were? I mean, many people called it that this guy wasn't going to last in prison, whether it was going to be that he was going to get out of the sentence or just kill himself.
Yeah.
But, well, America doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, you know, that's like we were going over. How many years or decades at this point? I mean, this wasn't a young guy. This guy has been around for a while.
Yeah.
This guy has been, shooting out his influence for a long time. A lot of people knew him. A lot of important people that are more famous than him in the long run knew him. And yeah, wasn't it? It just, for me, it struck me as weird. Like there wasn't a single newscaster that was like appalled or in disbelief or in absolute shock. There was no shock that this guy, one way or another, got out of his prison sentence. Right?
You're saying no Rachel Maddow with like the shock and cry, sad face because Clinton didn't win the presidency.
There was nothing, and the shock was on not just one account, not that just, oh, he was just a rich, possibly corrupt guy. No, there were multiple levels of reasons why people were not shocked. I mean, number one was the money, right? Okay, of course, billionaires, they have the resources, so whatever happened, right? So that's just one facet. Number two, the people he knew, the social circles he aligned himself with, very affluent people. So of course, if he did have dirt on them, wasn't a surprise that somebody got to him in prison, which is really designed to keep people in and not designed to keep people alive. That's what people don't understand about the prison system. It is not a safe place. It is not somewhere where you put high-profile people. You wanted to keep him on a safe place. They should have just left him on his island. That was the safest place for him to be, with his security
under house arrest, because he was able to be on house arrest for a while.
Or under house arrest, something like that. But if you're going to have a high-profile guy, even as horrible as this man, and he's going to be really important to your state's case and to get all the evidence out, prison is the worst place to put somebody. The absolute number one worst place to keep someone safe. I don't know how many movies have told us this. I don't know how many wasn't there a TV show, wasn't it called, like, I don't know, something about the wizard and Dorothy? Like, there was a prison show that had to do with with that theme, and it lasted for a long time, and people could kind of get a sense of how awful prisons were. Even if they left them in a women's prison, there was a recent show about a women's prison that shows just how awful it can be in a women's prison. Why are they sending these high-profile, super important states evidence-holding individuals to the worst possible place to keep them safe? I don't get it. These are low-rent guards. These are not, you know, I mean, I don't know how many private security teams could have done a better job versus, you know, the prison industrial complex system at this point. It baffles me. So again, multiple levels of non-shock that something happened to him, you know, in this low rent environment for safety. So it's unbelievable. And yeah, so what happened to him? Did he pay somebody off? Did someone have him killed? I mean, I think the best theory was how did someone kill? The best theory I've heard so far about this is like, how did someone get to Jeffrey Epstein in prison? Well, they just told the guard, "Could you step aside, please, so I can kill Jeffrey Epstein?" I don't get it.
That's actually the most believable.
You know, it's just I don't know. But yeah, and currently there is still no shock, no surprise, and you know, and that's it. That's it from the investigation. It's infuriating. It should be infuriating. It should, and a lot of people should be angry at this. But again, the lack of anger too is also another telltale sign of just how mixed up we are in this culture.
Yeah, this like kind of don't really even care. You know?
People, and this guy's been running this island for I don't know how long. People have known of this island. Again, super affluent people. They knew Epstein had a thing with kids. I mean, these weren't secrets that came out after his death. Well, let's also remember that, right? It would have been one thing if it was, number one, a surprise that he died, and then number two, when he died, it was like, oh, all these dark secrets finally came out. But he died a pedophile. A known pedophile. So, and yes, yeah, sure, they can say, oh, but he got caught later in life. Like, no, this guy has been to prison before on the same charges, right, for pedophile charges. So it's not like he went to prison for tax evasion or anything like that. No, he went to prison for crimes against minors. So
yeah, it's terrible.
No shock. No shock and no surprise. And that should have been the biggest red flag for people, because, you know, like I was saying earlier, it's one thing for a guy to be a pedophile and for people who have known about it, and let's say he was a pedophile for 20 years, and maybe 20 years, and everybody knows. But, you know, after that 20-year mark, I think it's now, I don't want to say it's society's fault, but there is some responsibility that should be levied on the society, the people he ran around with.
Yeah,
they should be really quick. Like, I don't know why these newscasters aren't at these people's doors. And yes, including the president. That's why they asked him. And I think it was appropriate to ask the president, what do you feel about Jeffrey Epstein? You knew him. And he had to give his answer. And I think everybody who ran in this guy's circles needs to be questioned, because why did nobody stop it? This wasn't a secret. This wasn't some secret. I mean, even Trump knew back in the day that Epstein liked the young girls, you know, so this could have been handled so much better, right? This could have been handled so much better, and I think the onus was, at this point, I feel, more on the people who just let the guy get away with it. You know, everyone who turned a blind eye to this after so long, I don't know, I don't know how they couldn't be on some level, like even just morally culpable to this guy's atrocities.
And I think that people are calling out all of the, you know, we're noticing that a lot of the elites or the higher up politicians that obviously had connections to this guy, and the celebrities that also frequented the Lolita Express are the same. They're now like still active on social media, but they're talking about other things going on in the world. Like they want to talk about Trump, and people are just like, no, you don't get to talk about anything. You can't even post a picture of your lunch. You need to talk about this guy that you were affiliated with, because that's what everybody cares about right now. But no, they're trying to like distract. It's just distractions, you know. Please, everybody, forget about this. Just whatever. He's a known pedophile, and he died on suicide watch. Just, can we move on to the next thing? I think is all they're hoping for. Yeah. Well, anyway, with that one, it's kind of like all it's getting people to do, though, at the very least, is look up other, because now everyone's a conspiracy theorist if you're looking into the Epstein case and you're not believing the narrative that the news is feeding you. So it's forcing people to look at a bunch of other stuff. Like all of a sudden on my newsfeed, I'm seeing a lot of 9/11 stuff again because it's getting pulled. So, like I think I sent you the videos, right? They were those videos of those from people's phones that they took, or like terrible cameras. Like the quality is awful because it was 2011 or 2001. Yeah, I can't believe it was that long ago, 2001. Of people who are outside the Pentagon there's footage out there on YouTube that they keep trying to pull down where these people are showing that there was an explosion at the Pentagon, but there's like 0 plane parts, and nobody's even questioning why there's no footage out there of like plane parts with the Pentagon. But this is already something that was how long ago? 18 years ago? You know?
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, please forget. Anyway, well, at least we're still in a country where we can look up conspiracy theory type stuff, right? And try to form our own opinions on it somewhat. I wanted to go into the next thing we were going to talk about today, which is what's happening in Hong Kong. You're following along with what's going on in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, I started following it as of yesterday, so I don't have the a good breadth of knowledge on every little detail about that. I just know that there was a lot of people protesting in Hong Kong right now, and right. The thing about the protest there, from what I understand, is that there were millions of people up in arms about this. And you might think a million people is like not too much compared to the United States, but you have to understand this is a very small city. It's got maybe, I think, 8 million people in it at any given time. So if 1 million people in a city that small are rising up, I mean, I'm sure it's quite a spectacle. They've got the riot police out there, and yeah, they are ready to, do away with these people's freedoms.
You're right, actually. I didn't even think about that. It's pretty much 1/8 or 1/7 of that of Hong Kong that is protesting these bills. So for those who don't know, Hong Kong is pretty much like, they call it the Sin City of Asia. I mean, if you want to go with a bunch of friends to go have a really fun weekend trip where you can engage in whatever, you go to Hong Kong. If you're in Asia, you go to Hong Kong, and you party there and you have fun there. It's still a land of commerce, and it's where people can still, like, capitalism is still happening in Hong Kong, and it's not exactly communist China. So and Hong Kong was protected. That's what they're protesting right now, because they were protected for a while by a bill. It was this sovereignty handover, okay, that they got from the UK, where but right now what's happening is I guess there's a loophole. There's a bill that's been proposed, and so it seems as though Hong Kong is turning into the rest of China is what's going to happen with this bill, like, just to make long story short. So let's see, Hong Kong's protest is, oh yeah, and right now, if you're looking up footage of what's happening in Hong Kong, they have a lot of these laser guns. Like, have you seen that footage where they're using like these red light lasers to kind of put into the security systems there? Because what they have over there is pretty much Big Brother, their setup. And versus here, like, we have Big Brother here, but it's not as obvious and in the open as it is over there. Like over there, people are born just already knowing when they're kids that everything they're doing is being monitored and watched, and there's certain things that you can't say or do, and so that's kind of like normal life out there already to begin with, right?
Right. Right.
Sorry, just making sure that you can still like hear me on here.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
So almost 1 million people, and the protests have been going on for like over 2 months right now. I want to talk really quick. If you guys want to understand what's happening in Hong Kong, you should look up this this app that they have. It's called WeChat, and WeChat is pretty much like all your apps rolled into one. So you can be on social media on it, you can text people on it, you can use WeChat to make all of your appointments, you can use it to pay people, to take like the transit systems, whether you're going to take the bullet train or whether you're going to take whatever, the bus. It's all on this app. And there's videos that like dive into it. Obviously, if you're using the WeChat app in America, you still have privacy laws that protect you. What happened over in China with this WeChat app is that at first it was sold to them as like, then it became, oh, I don't know where Judd went. I don't know where he, hopefully he can jump back on here. Then it became mandated. Yeah, that sounds really corruptible. It's not a good idea, and I'll tell you why. And you can already piece this together. They started now enforcing that every person has this app. Like it became just, it's free for you. The government will give it to you. Here's your phone, but you have to have this app on it. And what it turned into, if you're looking up reviews on this app, the reviews you're going to find on online from American users are going to be much different. Like you're not going to really find reviews from the Chinese people using this app, because there's so many things that they're not allowed to do. They're being completely monitored, and people are feeling like they are being watched 24/7. It's literally like the TV from the movie 1984, except that it's pocket-sized, and the citizens kind of gave them the permission to be tracked. I think that would be the best analogy, because people are having to use these apps now, the WeChat app, to report on their neighbors, or when they see suspicious activity, they're supposed to put it on there. So they're all kind of playing, I'll go, hold on, Judd, I'm trying to get Judd back on here. Hey, Judd, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. I was kind of going over like what WeChat is and how so many people now have to be on it. Yeah,
I was reading about that yesterday.
Yeah, so you know how we have in America, we have the Healthy People 2020, we have that agenda. If you haven't looked into that, please check it out.
Okay.
There's a China 2020 also, okay? It's a social ranking system where they're using all of this information on all of their citizens, and they're taking apps like WeChat to help them do this. Like in order for them to get monitoring and tracking on all of their citizens, they need apps like this. So in other words, you as the citizen think you have this app to just pay off your utility bill, but if you're late on paying your utility bill, they know. Like they are tracking you in that they know when you miss doctor's appointments, they know when you clock in late for work, when you're late to paying something. They know if you're buying like Zoloft or Viagra they know what it is you're purchasing. So it's literally like you've allowed all of your information, everything you do on a day-to-day basis, to be their public knowledge. And let's say you were witness to something, but you just wanted to get on with your day. You didn't really want to have to be that person to go and like report anything. Maybe other people will report it. Let's say like a car accident or whatever. No, because they know exactly where you are and they're tracking you. It's going to be like, where were you? Weren't you in this area? We saw that you were. Why didn't you report what happened here? So people are right now also protesting that. That's why you're seeing a lot of these red laser guns. And I mean, they're not shooting, but they're shooting with red lasers because they're putting them into the security system to kind of more blur out and buffer what it is that they're doing and on their phones. You know, like what's interesting is these gatherings of these people. It's not just something like you could text a bunch of friends, hey, let's meet up at this place, because they're monitoring your texts. They're monitoring your phone calls. And there was a guy who, I'm not pulling up his name in this article. I'll try to get this in a bit. Okay, so even according to them with their Chinese law, if you're promoting cults and superstition, whatever they deem as cult or superstition, they get to detain you and they don't even have to tell you why you're in prison. So there was a woman who was jailed for over a year because of something she said in a text message. And then there was a Tibetan man who was jailed for being a part of a WeChat group just for wishing the Dalai Lama a happy birthday. Many of us in America don't even realize the freedoms that we are offered here that just are non-existent in other countries. Like, you know, the fact that if you're Christian, you have to have underground Bible study meetups. It's illegal to homeschool your children in China. A friend of mine, David Rodriguez, I think many of you guys follow David too, but he takes trips to China because he's a homeschooling advocate. But it's illegal to homeschool your kids out there. Completely illegal to homeschool your kids. People are trying to do it still, and they're doing it, and it's all really underground. And so how do you do that? How do you now, if every citizen has to have not only like a smartphone, but they're being tracked and they have to have this app, that thing really, it's like wearing a handcuff to your wrist. It's literally like walking around with a handcuff all day long. One of the vloggers online related it to like the ring from the Lord of the Rings, where if you put it on, they know how to find you. Like as soon as it's on. So 900 million people in China are being monitored with this app that literally controls everything. WeChat is collecting data and giving all of the information to the Chinese government. Like I said earlier, in the West, we have a lot of laws that protect privacy, but in China, they have no regulation to protect your privacy. Their laws grant the government access to all of this information. But you know what? It's kind of the same thing that's going on in America. It's just not as extreme, but it's still kind of the same thing what we've allowed. We're just not putting every single thing on our app. We're using different apps for different things. We have a different app maybe for our appointments. We have a different app for our social media. We still use texting to text. So we're thinking like, well, it's not like I'm stashing all of my information in one place. And yeah, I know people who are jumping on here going, Mark of the Beast. But Jed, you're right. You just said you are stashing everything in one place because it's all on the phone and you're being watched. So is it in our best interest? This is obviously a stupid question, but it has to be asked. Okay. Is it in our best interest? Is monitoring like this in our best interest to protect us? Like, why would they need that much monitoring then? And with the removal of freedom of speech, because they've lost it a long time ago. Like you already, before all of this WeChat nonsense, by the way, in Asia, you cannot talk bad about a public figure. You can't speak bad about a president. They'll arrest you, and they don't even, there's no such thing as like Saturday Night Live where there's a show weekly that you get to make fun of your leaders, and there's nothing like that in these countries, which many of us don't realize because we're living in America and you could make fun of anybody. You just can't send them a death threat. But you could pretty much still make fun of any leader. I know that there's some congressmen and women that are calling for prison if you make fun of a member of Congress. I'm sure you've heard about that with the likes of Waters. But other than that, we still have those rights. You know, my parents, we grew up in a time of martial law in the Philippines. and you could not speak bad about the president, Marcos. If you were speaking bad about him, even if you were, doesn't matter if you were in a public square doing it, well, you would have gotten caught quicker. But if you were even just heard talking bad, like, they could arrest you, jail you, they could kill you. My father lost 2 friends in college because they went out publicly and were speaking bad about President Marcos, and they just disappeared. They were never seen ever again. This still happens. Um, so how much monitoring is acceptable, if at all? I'll let you kind of chime in, because I feel like I've been talking some time.
No, it's fine. None. I don't think we should be monitored at all. I think we should. I think they should treat us like they treat the people who live in the mountains in Montana. You know, it's just, you know, we live on our own private property. We're allowed our privacy. That's one of the benefits of living in a voluntary situation. You know, because you can either choose to live. You can live it. You only really have 2 choices of societies to live in. You can live in a voluntary society, or you can live in an involuntary society. And each one, I guess, comes with its own supposed benefits. But of course, one is less free for the individual, more free for the society, while the other one is more free for the individual and less free for society in general, because you are still allowed your thoughts, your expressions, short of, you know, you can scream and you can wave your hands in the air as much as you want, but until you hit somebody's face, you are free to do that. You know, so those are the 2 kinds of society you can live in, and right now, you know, I guess we have to kind of make a choice on some level about how we want the future of the country to look. We want it to look more for the general good, or for what they would call the general good, which they haven't really even defined yet. So I'm really hesitant to move towards that direction. Or enjoying individual freedoms that are clearly stated in, you know, in a document that's over 200 years old and pretty well established by now. Yeah. I'd rather go with a document that people have already put thought into. And you know, we have to remember too, that document wasn't just written in the ether. The people who wrote that document, the men who wrote that document, already suffered the tyranny that they wanted to, that they were escaping from. They've already gone through that, through the motions, and they've already experienced a society that had very little individual freedoms. It was all about the monarchy. It was, I mean, you have to understand, they came from a tyranny, and they created something that was designed to prevent future tyrannies. So when people say like, "Oh, you're hanging on to the Constitution. You're such a constitutionalist. You know, you're no room for change." No, it's like, I'm okay with change, but if it's change that's going against the principles set forth by a group of men that had already experienced the prison situation, you know, then I have more questions. You know, it's like, fine, you want to progress, let's progress, but let's not go back to what they were trying to escape from.
And people don't realize, like, all of these men trapped in this room that were coming up with Bill of Rights, the Constitution, they were writing all. It was like they were fighting, and fighting. They couldn't all agree. It took so long for them to be like, okay, finally, here it is. Like, it was like they thought about just almost every scenario, every situation from what they had just escaped from to give us this. And look at just where we're headed. It's still the monitoring, you know. I want to, in regards to, we're still talking about, right now, if you kind of jumped in the last like 10, 15 minutes, we're talking about what's going on in Hong Kong, why people are so angry. They're protesting a bill. Right now, Hong Kong has pretty much a 1 country, 2 systems policy. And there is a bill that's coming in, like all these other bills that we're dealing with here, that are trying to erode and infringe on their civil rights. Because the Hong Kong residents do not want to turn into communist China. So they're also being watched, they're being monitored. I want to show you guys I'm going to show you guys a link that I have here that I actually saw this back in December. So consider, you know, whenever they show you what new technology they have out, you have to realize that that's what they're showing you is old technology already for them. Like they're showing you, am I saying that right, Jed? Like they're showing you,
yeah, it's dated.
what they've had years and years ago. So for me to see that, I saw this in December and I thought, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is innovative. This freaked me the hell out. And I was debating sharing it for a while because I just don't want people to also be freaked out. But I'm going to show you the picture from above. Okay. This is a shot that was taken with a 24.9 billion pixel worth of technology. So the technology they have already, you guys, 24.9 billion pixels in technology. This was taken just this past December. So here's what the picture looked like, okay, a skyline shot. I'm going to show, can you guys see that? Jed, can you see that from where I'm at?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think I've shown you this picture already too, Jed, right? So here's the picture. So I'm going to click on the link of the picture, okay? And I'll try to share this link after this live. So I'm clicking on the link. Here we go. So it was taken from some kind of sky cam, and it's telling you to now zoom in and move with this picture. Now I could zoom in, move around this entire screen. Okay, so I'm like, okay, let's move down to what we saw there. So here's, oh, there's that big circle in that picture. Okay, there we go. And now let's like zoom into this. Like, look at how far away this photo was taken. You got this whole city here, and it's like it's this bird's eye view. It's like panoramic. It's okay. Let's zoom in. Let me shut up for a second. Oh, how do we zoom? Where's the zoom feature? It's telling me, oh man, do I need to like use my hands for this? How do you do a zoom here? Oh crap.
Yeah, I thought you had to use your hands.
Oh, here, no, there's plus. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
It's the plus sign. So now I've like, whoa, crazy zoomed into this picture. Okay, you're still like, wow, that's okay, that's interesting, great. But we're gonna keep zooming in. Let's go to this spot here on this photo, and let's keep zooming in. Let's look at this dude here. You guys see where my mouse is? Let's look at this dude here on this little bike. I'm gonna go closer to him, closer to him. You guys, it's crisp, these photos, okay? It is crisp. Look at this guy. One guy, okay? Look at him. Look at how close this got. You could see him. You could see like the kind of shirt he's wearing. He's got a tag here. You could see this dude next to him. You could see these women here on this ledge, right? And you could see, I'm just saying, like, okay, so that was the zoom in function. And oh my gosh, you can go in even more. I didn't even realize you can keep going in to this shot. Okay, so there's that. And I'm just gonna, for reference here, I'm gonna zoom out once again, okay? So here's the close up, and let's zoom all the way out. You see that guy and how crisp it was? And look at how far away this photo was taken. Look at how far away this photo was taken. I just want you guys to sit with this for a second because I was like, what the heck? Look, and then look all around. So this was pretty much the focus of the picture, this circle area here, right? And it's like, whoa, look at where they took it from. So I couldn't even imagine, like, are you kidding me already at this point? We're thinking that just the security cameras at Walmart suck, you know? And let's talk about cameras. The security camera at Epstein's cell malfunctioned.
Yeah, telling you.
The security camera in the cell of Epstein malfunctioned. Look at this photo, you guys. Okay, let's forget that little circle then. Let's just go over here somewhere. I'm gonna try to zoom here into like this part of the street with this little red car. Look at this. Are you guys, we think that we're being protected. Like, this person, where's she going? Okay, probably to her apartment. It's like, we know what kind of bag she's got. A Louis Vuitton purse, her Starbucks for the day. Just, I'm like, this is insane to me. And when I saw this, I was going, oh my goodness. They can literally, everything we're doing, they can track and see. They already have this technology. And we are seriously playing stupid. We're just playing stupid when they tell us, oh yeah, no, our cameras must have not been functioning that day. Look at this. See this? Let's just look at this escalator for a second, and I'm going to zoom all the way out. This is madness to me. If you're following me on Facebook, you could see it on my Facebook. I'm going to post the link up because I think it's actually better to use your phone because then you could use your fingers to like zoom in onto the screen. But this is just an example of the technology that is already out there. They already have this technology, and they want to tell you that they lost footage of Epstein. And they want to tell you, like, so look at this. I'm just saying. I was just floored by that. And then I go, okay, so here we are for 2 seconds. If you're for 2 seconds out there thinking that you're just safe getting into your car, going to the store, just going about your day, this was one photo. One. And I know. I'm looking at it, so I debated sharing it for a bit because I'm like, I feel kind of sick staring at this. And then they want to tell you that they don't have technology to go to the moon. I'm seeing these comments come in. So yeah, okay, 24.9 billion pixels. Once again, you guys were being watched. Everything's being tracked already. And right now, the most we can do in America, I think, is to stay on top of bills that are being passed so that the same thing that's happening in places like China don't happen here. Although it's on its way, right? Jed, can you still hear me over there?
I can still hear you, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what do you make of all that? I love your opinions.
I mean, in terms of just the technology, camera technology is never going to stop. It's always going to get better, and that's just like a facet of it. I don't want to completely attribute the creation of this new technology to just malicious intent, although malicious actors will definitely take advantage of that. The sad thing is I do not believe the technology is being initially created to make lives harder for people. I think in general it's created to make lives easier.
Yeah.
We just have to do
most things with good intent, right? We're not just thinking everybody's out to get us.
The problem with technology and the speed of technology is not so much, oh, we're getting smarter as a society and therefore we deserve all these new trinkets and gizmos and luxuries, really, like conveniences. That's all technology really translates to the normal person. It's just a convenience. But in the long run, we have to always be wary of where the morals of society are going first. And hope that the technology follows morality and not the other way around. We have bigger problems to face if technology supersedes morality, and that's why we are worried. We find ourselves waking up worried when these people have these incredible, which should be viewed as incredible, new technologies, new ways to view the world. But now we're seeing it because of what we know people are capable, because not just know, but what people have used these things for before. We're forced to now see technology as the enemy, which it's not. immorality is still the number one. And when people try to, shoot technology in front of that and say, oh, well, we shouldn't be allowed this because it's, the technology is evil, the robots are evil, they're all coming to get us. Like, no, it's still just people. And we just have to know who's pulling the levers.
But does that say something then where we are now living in a culture, and I mean, you can even call this a culture in America, but whatever it is, the society is every day losing its morals. Morals are going out the window like I've never seen before in record pace right now. So what is that? I'm not to be Debbie Downer, negative Nancy over here. What does that even matter then at the end if like all the morals are lost?
Right. You can't have a lot of progressivism with morals attached. It doesn't allow for that. Progressives and morals, it's the oil and water mix right now, and it's not working for them. So we have to be wary of that, and that's why it's dangerous right now for what they call them. I don't want to call them the progressives. They are leftists. Yeah. And it's always good to make that distinction. Just because you believe in Democrats or you vote blue does not necessarily make you a leftist. So I don't want to really attribute that. But I do choose to use the term leftist because it is more defined as the people who are, screaming at other people about how they're being oppressed, and the type. I mean, I think we've all had the exposure already. Yeah. So morals and leftism, doesn't work, and that's why for me, I can't allow a class, or not allowing, or just not trying to use my language carefully, but I would prefer that they not pull any levers of power until we find out exactly what their true motives are. That's again a big problem we have with the leftists today. They don't define their meanings. They don't define their words properly. So I don't know what their main beliefs are. I don't know what they really hang their hat on at the end of the night. So so let them speak more. I'd say put more of them out there. Let them yell some more, so at least we can kind of get a better understanding. But I don't even think
what it is they want.
Yeah, I honestly don't even think they know themselves. I think they're just going off of cues from CNN, from Bernie Sanders, and then from now the new Democratic socialists that have popped up.
Well, I think that's what makes this a little bit difficult here, because they're not understanding that we're losing our freedom of speech with every day that passes. We are losing more and more rights. So there's like medical rights, are just to be able to say something and not now be red flagged. So we're going to move on to that topic for a bit, for the last 10-15 minutes here. We got these red flag laws that are coming up that people are thinking is a good idea. What do you make of the red flag laws that are being proposed? Terrible.
It's they can call it whatever they want. It's just another form of gun control. It's just another way for them to have another reason to take money. They can. It is a smarter label. It just kind of sucks that this is something that definitely while I am a Trump supporter, I don't believe in everything the guy supports, and this is definitely one of those things that I'd rather do without, because again we run into that same problem like I was mentioning earlier about defining what it actually means. Where we are such a headline run country. Everybody's only interested in the cover title of the book. No one wants to bother to read the fine details. My issue with the red flag laws right now is that, number one, they're not defined. So until they're defined, I'm gonna not be too easy about them.
Right.
But now they want to use mental illness. That was the main thing. Like, people who are mentally ill should not be able to own guns. And you know, initially you hear that and you're like, yeah, okay, that makes complete, absolute sense. Crazy people should not own guns. The problem is they have not clearly defined what could register as a crazy person. What does that mean when they're talking about especially when they're talking about mental illness? That is one of the broadest, most generalized terms that you could attach to just about any kind of mental disability, small or large. You know, and then we were so how do you define that? Is depression, like, let's take depression. Depression is just one of those things that's just an all-encompassing mental disorder. A lot of people are suffering from that. It is a form of mental disorder because it does permeate into your actions. It prevents you from doing certain things throughout the day. It stifles your mind and your decision-making process, which could be considered a mental problem. So we have to look at, so are we going to look at depression and say, well, everyone who's suffering from depression can now not own a gun? I mean, now we're talking about, forget like 7%. We're talking about a good, 40% of the country suffering from some form of depression.
Yeah, and then with Big Brother type apps and monitoring, they know what prescriptions you're on. Like, they know what it is you're taking and your daily, right? While I don't think that people who are taking Adderall and Ritalin should have anything to do with a firearm, what's scary is that even when they define what mental illness and mental disorder is in their terms, the next step is the worst part, because that's who gets to now make that call. Who is the person that gets to make the call? It's kind of like when they just used hate speech as just a broad, well, you shouldn't have hate speech, okay, then the whole country was like, well, yeah, we shouldn't have hate speech, like, that sucks to be racist, you shouldn't. But then who are they making in charge of the hate speech? The people that work at Facebook, like Facebook fact checkers. We already know what side they prefer,
Right.
and where they lean in their thoughts. So that's going to be the scariest part, I think, about the red flag laws, is who gets to now initiate and who gets to make that final call.
That is
that you're whacked out, that you're, with this Chris Cuomo guy and his like rant he just had. I mean, President Trump, I feel like his tweet was very like, it's getting a lot of people to think, because he tweeted, hey, this guy, sounding like a crazy person on TV, he's the type of person that shouldn't have a firearm, like, he shouldn't have any weapons if you're going to be out there talking in that way. Like, anyway, you brought up a good point, but then you're going, wait, but you support these red flag laws. So once again, it's going to be citizens, neighbors reporting on each other. And I think that's where things get scary, because while they're investigating you you're going to be unarmed.
Yeah.
And whoever reported you is going to know that you're unarmed. Like, it's just all around a bad idea. Bad idea. And it should be the person that is making the claim against you that has to prove, in fact, that you are capable of whatever it is that they're stating, and not you. Like, whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty in this country? I just feel like that went out the window. Like, they want us to forget that was even a concept.
It's only a concept privately. As long as it's public, then that concept kind of goes out the window, because, and it should be, they should have it somewhere. And I almost want to believe that they do, and they just kind of, forget every time. But these cases, these incidents that happen with these shootings and all this, yes, it's all terrible, but until the facts come out, this should not be something that's touted in the media like they've got all the answers already. Like, this, it's so dangerous to do that, because what ends up happening more often than not is innocent parties who would otherwise have been found innocent of crimes levied against them end up in the public sphere. Their reputation is destroyed beforehand right? So that's an issue, right? I mean, they don't even have a chance. As long as their name's out in the public sphere, that's it. They're kind of sunk. You know, it's hard for them to get a job. While it will be hard for them to restore their credibility.
Right.
So yeah, it is a dangerous thing when these cases go public like this and public opinion is forced on the situation, because then you can't really have a fair assessment of what happened, because it's already been like, it's going to be tainted. It's just, there's no other way it could not be.
I'm curious if they're even going to define it, or if they're just going to use these mass shootings that have just occurred as like a, you know what, no, that's it. We're going to now just impose these more, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
the whole thing is so unsettling to me, because they, like we were talking about last week, they haven't even defined properly what hate speech is, and they haven't defined now properly what a red flag law is.
No, or what it would entail. No, and they do that.
I think KB Lauren was on here earlier. She pointed out, and let me scroll back to these comments here. She had a good comment on here. She was saying that the laws will infringe on the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth and 14th Amendment, which is due process. So it's like that's all out the window. Like, let's just, crisis happened, you know, whether we created it or not, and now we get to do this.
Yeah, and the issue with that is that even if they produced something that had a language attached to it, that's not that's not the final form. That is, that for the DBZ fans, that is not this bill's. That will not be the bill, and it'll stand forever. It depending on who takes the lever next, it can change. But once it's on the books, it's out there already. Then it just becomes a thing where, okay, well, if you're considered mentally unstable, you can't, you're not going to be able to purchase a firearm. So, yeah, I mean, how much more clear do they need to make it? Like, how much more clear can they make it that's actually going to protect people's rights? And then it's going to be one, well, if you're a gun. So ultimately what's going to happen with this bill, just kind of looking forward a little bit, if you own a gun, you are now pressured to be quiet anytime something comes up, because the moment you speak out against something, even if you're, and a lot of people, they speak out against things that they believe in, you get, people get passionate, and there's a very fine line between passion and obsession and crazy. So
oh my gosh, all anybody needs to do is pull up my lives that are saved on YouTube and be like, she is crazy. There's no way.
Exactly.
There's no way that she should be allowed to. And it's just like, exactly. Yeah. Where's that line going to be drawn to where,
How many online personalities, just online, right? Even just for the sake of comedy or for whatever, just to add a character to it. How many people online rant about the government? I mean,
and their accounts are being shut down a lot. Yep. I was sharing yesterday that guy, that comedian Terrence, I think Howard is his name. It's just super funny. He posted up these videos of, and he's a comedian, like it says on his account, comedy. And he posted up these videos like on his Twitter and all over his social media where he was trying to kill himself with toilet paper, because he was trying to piece it together, like, how did Epstein kill himself? So he's like, don't try this at home, and he's like wrapping toilet paper around his neck, and he's just making people laugh, because that's like literally what everyone's thinking. And guys, Facebook police came into his account. They put him on a jail, like they put him on Facebook jail. They said that he is that his account is fake news, and he's like, I never said my account was news to begin with. It's a comedy site. So I'm just telling you already, like, the crazy is happening. It's already here. It's already happening around us. That the fact that they are labeling comedian sites fake news, it should just kind of set everybody back a little bit. Like, wow, they are going to that level. Not only did this guy, now he's getting all these death threats because Trump retweeted his comedy skit. I mean, it's getting to there. you guys. So I'll post this link up on my Facebook. My name on there is Talia Cruz. I'm going to post up the whole Big Brother link, the 24.9 billion pixels. They're saying that there's way more than that. They're like, that's not even the best camera that they've used. This is like old technology. But just so you guys can see that it's already here, it's already happening. But yeah, Jed, once again, thanks for being on this live. We have to do a live again soon because there's a bunch of other topics we want to cover. So
yeah.
I don't know if you want to jump on later. Let me just text me. Let me know because I want to see the end of the artwork you're working on there. I think we all kind of know what you're getting at.
Yeah, no problem. Were you going to start another one? What time did you want to start another one?
I'm going to grab a quick bite. I mean, there's a bunch of other topics I want to go over if you want to join me for that. I can start another one in like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I can probably do a little bit more today. I do like, still, I do have a workload, but yeah, we can definitely go over.
Because we got to talk about a lot of other things like this measles death with this airline attendant and things like that.
I read about that one, yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll chat soon.
All right.
See you in a bit.
Okay. Bye.